Right, so I'm going to open proxy creation file here, and if we just sample that, you'll be able to see that we're getting sub-multi material that connects to all of those guys right here. So that sub-object material includes all of those, even though they are disconnected and not attached to one model. Okay, so now let's export that as a proxy. I'm going to select the entire object here, right click, export to VRay mesh. We're going to select export all selected objects in a single file. Automatic proxy creation. Let's put the faces preview into 10% and enable create multi-sub object. Now let's see where we are going to export this. Let's put it into our garden files here. All right, and we've got our VRay proxy file. Now that's the destination where we have exported. And now let's check different options for preview, for mesh edges. So this will going to be probably the most used one. Point, we get a dot and show the entire mesh. We can see the whole object. Again, it will take a lot of RAM to process. Now let's scroll down, open the mesh visibilities. So here you can see we can click what we want to see. Even though it's one proxy mesh, inside the proxy mesh it is divided into those elements. And if I sample that proxy, it comes with all the materials here. So if we want to change, we can change the color of that material. Let's put something like green. And now before we hit render, let's open the render dialog. And what we need to do is switch this into bucket. And let's lower this to 12 and hit render. So you can see every time the bucket is reaching the geometry, it's loading the full mesh. Of course, we can still see the preview through the light cache pre-calculation. We can see it in dots, but the real geometry appears when we really start to render this proxy. I'm gonna stop this and open another file that we have here. Garden proxies. So you can see this entire garden have proxies applied to it. And all of those proxies, you can see some of them are instanced. So we can see their mesh, exactly which one are instanced. And others probably have a little bit different representation, a little bit thicker, maybe different texture also. But you can have 3 or 4 instances, so they will not look the same. So you can have 3 or 4 different instances for the VRay proxy that you can populate around your scene in order to get a cool representation of heavy geometry. Alright, so now let's open our list here, and I'm going to select wall garden A, and here I'm going to click browse, navigate to my proxies, and load wall thin A, and voila, my proxy was updated. And again, if we click, we get all the materials that comes with that proxy. Now what we can do, we can open our rendering dialog, switch to buckets, and let's reduce the bucket size here to 12 and hit render. Alright guys, so this is how you work with VRay Proxy. If you have any questions, post them below and I'll be more than glad to assist you. If not, just go ahead and watch the next video.